what's up? This is RJ Sheetal. Welcome back. It's going to be the last episode of Creator Collab Season 2. It was the International Men's Day edition. You saw so many creators talk about lifestyle, fashion, and how it is to be a man in this creator industry, right? But today I have with me someone very special. He's probably the most fittest person in Bangalore, at least, that I have seen. Extremely good looking. He's an animal flow instructor, loves to travel. Let's welcome Devrath Vijay, popularly known as Ninja Dev on Instagram. Hi.
Hi, Sheetal. Thank you. Quite an introduction.
I know, right? Oh, by the way, it was not rehearsed, okay?
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'm so glad that you made it. How are you doing?
Great. Just back from almost like a 4-week trip. So happy to be back home. Very exciting, of course, to just kind of get back to routine, which is very important for me. So doing great.
I want to start off by asking this very important question that when you travel, you love to travel, right? And especially when you just had like a 4-week travel plan, how do you manage your routine? How do you work out? And how do you manage food? Because I'm sure that's one of the major concerns, right, for you being the most fittest person you are.
So I think I take the pressure off me, and I think that's what I would suggest to people also when they're traveling, because you're definitely not going to have everything as convenient as it is when you're back home.
Right.
So if you have to compromise a little bit in terms of your eating as well as your training, but still make sure that you're getting some amount of it, that's important. Like for me, for example, I would still, let's say, if I can't, let's say, go to the gym, I would still go for a run. Or I would do like some animal flow in the park.
Right.
The important thing was getting some amount of movement every day, or at least 6 days a week. And food wise, of course, especially when you're traveling and when there are things that you have to try out, you go ahead and try out. Like for example, your French fries and your waffles, etc. in like Amsterdam and Belgium, etc. is something that I didn't want to say no to.
Right.
Still had it, enjoyed it, of course, but always understand moderation.
Moderation, right? And when did you start this journey of yours?
The fitness journey?
Yes.
Well, professionally, I think I started about in 2011, so it's been about 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
But before that, I was still kind of part-time dancing and part-time teaching kickboxing as well, and that was during college days.
Okay.
So I would say, and before that, I was into sports in school, so I would say I was always kind of into fitness. But professionally, yes, it's been about 11 years.
11 years, right? And how's that been? Because I'm sure you started off by just not posting Instagram videos, right? That happened recently, I'm guessing. So how's that been? Now you see that there are so many instructors and they do live sessions on Instagram, especially during the pandemic, right? We saw a lot of virtual trainings. So how's this transition been?
I mean, so the thing is, I run an online training company called Sweaty Ninjas with my partner Shweta. So we started about 4 years ago.
Okay.
So we kind of had an advantage in the sense that when COVID happened, obviously a lot of trainers got into online training. But for both of us, since we already had our systems in place, we didn't really have to reinvent the wheel. So we could just cater to the audience, which we already were doing.
Right.
So that way, I think it wasn't that much of a challenge. But yes, like you said, Instagram and everything happened when I say recently, I think maybe I got on it maybe about 7 years ago.
Right,
so it's been a while. But yes, the traction and the kind of engagement etc. is mostly recent. Also because earlier when I was posting on Instagram, it was just me having fun. It was more about, okay, I like working out, so I'm going to put up this variation. I'm going to share these kind of things. But as obviously years have progressed, and then you realize how much social media can have an impact in not just people, but also for yourself in terms of business, then you obviously streamline it and you understand, okay, what are people looking for? And for me, Instagram right now is more about value add for people. So I kind of try and understand, obviously because I work with so many people in the gym as well as online, I understand what people are looking for, especially people who are new to training. And that's kind of what I try to address on Instagram, and that's really helped.
We usually see that content creators, especially when they're into lifestyle and fashion and beauty and makeup and all of that, right? They often say that numbers are extremely important, right? Especially when you have brand collaborations and you're earning, your basic earning is through Instagram and brand collaborations, right? But for you, do you think that numbers matter? These social numbers that we have, do they matter?
So the way that I look at Instagram is that yes, I do brand collaborations, but then I don't do it all the time.
Right.
Because I run my gym and I run the online business. those are, I would say, my main sources of revenue.
Income, yeah.
And anything else that comes through Instagram is like an add-on.
Right.
Because I don't want to get into that zone where I'm pushing for more brand collaborations or kind of trying to make money through Instagram, because then I'm not able to put my message out there in the same way that I would if I,
Yeah.
So I do it when I can, and and if you've seen my Instagram page, I only endorse brands which I personally use or I believe in, or which I genuinely think will help people. So I've had to say no to a lot of brands because it doesn't align with what I teach or what I believe in.
Yeah.
So do numbers help? 100%.
Okay.
Yes, definitely numbers help. But I wouldn't go chasing behind the numbers. If you just focus on your content and you focus on what really people want to see, the numbers is a side effect.
It'll follow.
It's just like it's funny, but it's exactly how I teach fitness as well. Because if you run behind the six-pack, or if you run behind
a particular weight goal,
if you run behind the aesthetics, it's going to be that much more harder, and it's not going to be an enjoyable process. But if you just think about, okay, I want to get better at this parameter, maybe I want to get stronger, maybe I want to get more flexible, maybe I want to feel better, maybe I have aches and pains, I want to figure out why that is and fix those, then automatically you're slowly going to also start working on your aesthetics and you're going to look good. But the primary thing is to feel good. Same way here. If you chase the numbers on Instagram, it's always going to be like, oh shit, this person has more followers than me. I don't feel so good. But at the same time, if I just focus on, okay, this is the content that I really enjoy making and it's helping a lot of people, eventually your numbers will improve.
So well explained, right? That's amazing. Tell me, how has this fitness industry grown right now? We see that there is so many people, not just on Instagram, right, but even the gyms. Like in one locality, there are like 10 to 15 gyms, right? So I honestly feel that as a consumer, I feel that this industry has grown so much, with also new equipments coming up every day, new instructors coming out every day, right? So what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's grown tremendously because when I started, like I told you in 2011, functional training itself was a very foreign concept to India. Of course, it had been there for a while in the West. But at least in Bangalore, I think that was 2011 probably was the first CrossFit gym that came up in Bangalore. So that was kind of like our introduction, or that's where we got introduced as trainers back then to functional training and something different from the traditional run on the treadmill, lift weights kind of workouts. So I think we've come a long way from there. Now, of course, as you said, there are gyms in every street. But what I always tell the other trainers and my peers, etc., is yes, there are lots of trainers, there are lots of gyms, but there's that many more people also, right? So the market is huge. So even if there are 10 gyms on the same street as me, I'm not worried, because there are that many people to cater to. And to be very honest, if your service is good, and if if your trainers are good, if they're educated, if they know what they're doing, and if you're kind of bringing value to people, doesn't matter how many gyms are there, doesn't matter how many competitors are there, you'll always have enough and more people coming to your gym. But yeah, I think this is a great time to be in the fitness industry if you're in India, because it's growing and it's only going upwards, and it's also, we are also at a stage where if you kind of go, so what's happened, like if I give you an example, back in the day, of course, let's say 2011-12, I've worked with a lot of trainers who are my colleagues, and a lot of them are doing exactly what they're doing right now, what they were doing back then. Yeah, that's because they didn't evolve, or they didn't learn the new methodologies in training. They didn't update themselves. So as long as you kind of learn and you're up to date with what's the new, again, I wouldn't say trend, but just understand, okay, what's working, because there are new studies coming up every single day. So if you kind of update yourself and you understand, okay, this works, this doesn't work, because what was working 5 years back might not work now. So if you update yourself, then you'll always be relevant and you'll always have enough work. So that's what I always kind of tell the interns who join us as well, is to just make sure that your learning never stops.
Never stops, absolutely. And talking about all these diet plans, right, you, like, again, over the years it's changed drastically, and now you have so many newer things coming up, like intermittent fasting and only protein diet and stuff like that, right? So as a fitness trainer, what is your go-to diet like? Like, what do you suggest people as well? And is intermittent fasting really good?
Okay. So I wouldn't say that there's this one diet that works for everybody. just like training, nutrition is very, very individual and specific. Does intermittent training work? Intermittent fasting work? Intermittent fasting works for most people, I would say.
Okay.
But then, of course, there could be some people who medically maybe it might not be the best idea for them to not eat for long hours, right? Maybe they need to eat very constantly, maybe because
every
their sugar is low, etc. So you really need to understand each person. But then from a more general perspective, intermittent fasting, for example, what really works for you, other than of course the fat loss and weight loss and all of the other things which I would still call as side effects, is that you're giving enough time for your body where you're not putting it any more food into your system, where you're giving enough time for your body to use what it already has. And kind of it gives your, even on a cellular level, it gives your body a chance to kind of recuperate and kind of get rid of the older cells.
It cleanses your body.
It cleanses basically. It's like a detox. So it is a good idea, but then as I said, I would still
person to person,
I would still do a little bit of a Q&A with the clients and understand what their medical history is. And again, when it comes to diet as well, it's very individual, and the best thing that I tell people is don't go all out. Don't try and make 100 changes, but just kind of
start by one small change.
Small things and then slowly build from there.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you this, that we see that now, like, the whole body shaming thing is become a big thing, right? We see that a lot of creators, who are, who talk about this, saying that it's okay to accept your body the way it is. We need not be like, oh, he's fat or she's fat and things like that. And you also see creators not promoting, but even if they are on the heavier side, they still, they are promoting the content and stuff like that. And then you see the comment section go like, it's so mean and so negative, right? So what's your take on that? Is this a promotion for like obesity, or is this like we need to accept everything but also health is important, right? What's your take on that?
So again, it's a very sensitive topic, of course, like you said. The problem is that people go to opposite extremes, right? So ideally you would want to be somewhere in the middle. And that's with anything in life, right? So everyone wants to be categorized as either right wing or left wing. Somebody wants to be categorized as, okay, this person is pro, let's say LGBTQ, and then somebody is not, etc. But there is a middle line, there is a gray line. So when it comes to this, like the question that you asked, 100% you should be comfortable in your own skin. 100% you should not be fat shaming people or make comments about somebody who's, let's say, skinny, etc. So obviously, because these are not going to help that person in any way. But at the same time, you also don't want to make it make people get lazy because of that. And I'm saying this with a lot of respect and understanding. The situation. So what I mean by that is, if you're kind of encouraging somebody to, let's say, stay in their same body type, or let's say somebody is obese, and if you're encouraging them, saying it's absolutely okay for you to stay this way, then somewhere you're going to tell them that, okay, it's okay to not lose weight, it's okay to be where you are, even though you have certain health problems. Right? So you need to for yourself understand that, okay, me being this heavy is not going to help me in the long run. It's going to lead to certain health complications. So I'm going to work towards that, and then that probably also means losing weight. Right? So it's not that, okay, because you look a certain way, you need to lose weight.
Absolutely. There's so much of a difference in that, right?
As long as you understand that your health is compromised, okay, maybe somebody is slightly overweight but is super healthy, then go for it. Then
that's
maybe,
completely normal, right?
And if you're comfortable in your skin, nothing like it. Excuse me. But if you're going to ignore the fact that there are underlying health complications, then somewhere there's a problem.
So basically, to cut short, it's like, as long as you are healthy, the body type doesn't matter, because see, everyone can't be a zero figure, right? It depends on how your body type is, and the genetics and everything matters.
Absolutely. Every single part of your body. So the body remembers a lot more than the brain, right? In the sense that how you look and the structure, the way that your skeletal structure is defined, how your muscles react to training, etc., is all a lot to do with how your genetics are. So, for example, like I'll give you, for me, I do like a few repetitions of, let's say, shoulders and biceps, etc., and immediately I feel the difference. Like I'm pumped and I look ripped.
Yeah.
But the same way, let's say for my calves, for example, or my lower body, it takes maybe a little extra.
Right.
So that is something that I've understood over the years, and I know maybe for my lower body I need to put in more work. Upper body comes very easily.
Yeah.
So everybody has things like that. Some people are wider in the hips and maybe they need more work there.
Yeah.
Some people are, let's say, very prone to getting a bigger stomach or a gut. So that's something that they need to work on. And sometimes you need to also be, you also need to understand that as much work as you put in, this is your structure and you can't change your skeletal structure, right? So it's very, you can't be as black and white and say, okay, this person's fat, this person's thin, or this person is big, this person's small. And you can't be like, okay, because they didn't put in the work or because they were lazy, they look like that. No, maybe they are genetically predispositioned to be like that.
So a lot of things matter, right? I mean, wonderful take on that. Talking about International Men's Day, right? Firstly, I don't understand why is that we celebrate men only on this particular day while we should be celebrating them always. But you see that now I feel men are a little more open than they were before, because initially or back then it was like the men of the family are the bread earners and they need to be strong and they can't keep crying and stuff like that, right? But now you see that people are a lot more open, at least what I think, right? Men cry, right? And it's absolutely normal. And if we can have mental health issues, you can also have, right? So what's your take on this? Are we progressing towards a society where we are open-minded, or we are going backwards?
Well, firstly, me personally, I'm pretty optimistic.
Okay.
I think. So if you ask me a question like this, I would definitely say that we're going in the right direction. So again, going back to, like you said, like back in the day where there was more. Okay, I'm the guy, so I need to
pressure,
earn for the family, and obviously men used to carry a lot of baggage that way, and then that would have repercussions on how the women were kind of dealt with, etc. But also we need to kind of understand that was also because how everything was structured back then, right? So it was very difficult for a lady to work, also because let's say if you go back like more than 100 years or maybe like 1,000 years, etc., men were the ones who went out, fought, etc., and you didn't know that they're going to come back or not. And obviously women were more leaning towards home, taking care of the kids or taking care of the family, etc. And both were equally important roles. Again, not saying that the guy was doing most of the work. Both were doing what they were good at. Obviously now that there's so much change that's happened now, because every other day we're not somebody is not throwing a bomb at us, or somebody is not coming at us saying, okay, I'm going to take this land from you.
Place,
exactly. So now everyone's a little bit more secure, so it's now safer for even women to travel wherever they want to and kind of work. So I feel like now I think men are also understanding that. Both men and women are kind of understanding that, okay, the times are changing, and of course there are a lot of people who are still stuck in their own ways, and you can't do much about it. You can of course educate, and we can scream about it, we can talk about it, we can put it on social media, etc. But at the same time, it's also, you can't expect people to just change just like that.
Especially the older generation, like our grandparents and all that.
Exactly.
It's too late for them to change their mind.
And I mean, of course, some of them do. Like I've seen also so many people from my family who I thought was like super strict, etc. Growing up, and now you see that they're a lot more relaxed. So that's great to see that people are evolving. But at the same time, you can't expect everybody to be like that. There will be people who will take their time. It's okay, you let them be, and then you at least have so many people who have kind of understood. So I think we are heading in the right direction. I think it's just about kind of like you said, putting it out there and trying to spread more awareness, but also understand that let's say this awareness that we're trying to spread on Instagram or any of the social media platforms is not even something that people who we want to change are even looking at.
I don't think my grandparents are on Instagram.
So we can't even blame them.
Absolutely. Talking about the big news, you have trained Varun Dhawan in the movie Bhediya. If you haven't watched the movie, go ahead and watch it. It's awesome, right? I mean, he's a little biased in that way, but it's definitely awesome. A nice movie. So how did that happen? I mean, and Varun Dhawan also put out a video which said that he has performed really well in the movie, and he's being trained by you, right? Ninja Dev, that's what he said, and I absolutely loved that video. How did this whole thing happen?
Yeah, firstly, like, it was so sweet of him to actually give me a shout out. But how did it happen? So, like you guys, I think if everybody's seen the trailer, I think you know that he becomes a werewolf, right? He changes from like a man to a wolf. So the when the somebody called Pooja, who's one of the producers who got in touch with me, so her kind of what she told me initially was that they need Varun to get leaner firstly. Because he was also playing the role of a regular guy who goes to office, etc., and then goes through this change, but also needs to be a lot more mobile, move well, because obviously he's going to get down on all fours. He's going to convert, or he's going to transform into an animal. So they got in touch with me also because I'm one of the animal flow master instructors. So that's how it kind of started, and the training was, of course, also to do with, I was also looking after his nutrition and to get him leaner, and but also Amar, the director of the movie, also was very particular about don't make him too ripped, because he still needs to look like a regular guy. So that was a challenge, because Varun is already a fit guy, right? And he's already you can see his six pack, you can see his muscles, and he's always been into bodybuilding. So I think from what we introduced into the training in the 4 to 5 months that we trained together was more, still continued with all the strength training to make sure that he still maintains his muscle, but at the same time also kind of got him to lean out a little bit, but mainly worked on animal flow and mobility. So that way we kind of got him to get more comfortable on all fours, move better, move more fluid, those kind of things. So I think now it's people should really watch it.
Watch it, definitely.
For me, I just watched it literally like a day ago, and having also been at some of the shoot locations in Arunachal Pradesh and in Mumbai, etc. So it was nice to kind of see it all come together, and I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Varun as a person, he's very sweet, right? At least from the interviews that we've seen.
Super grounded. Absolutely doesn't make you feel like he's a star. He's that's very important, especially when you're training somebody, is if they're open-minded or not. And from the get-go, from day one, he's like, you just tell me what we need to do, and we're doing it. And he was super committed, so he made my job easier. And, he's a gem of a guy.
Right, amazing. And why haven't you ever explored this fitness, what is that called? Celebrity trainer and all of that? You never wanted to do that?
So firstly, if you need to do celebrity training, especially in Bollywood, or let's call it the Hindi film industry, you have to be in Mumbai. You have to be based in Mumbai. And for me, my gyms are in Bangalore. My online training company is based here.
Bangalorean.
I'm a Bangalorean by heart, so it's very difficult for me to work anywhere else. I love the process of like working for projects like this. So if I'm called to Mumbai to work with a certain actor, etc., and I'm absolutely fine with going there, working for a few months and coming back. But it's very difficult for me to actually move there and do that. And also, I really love what I do here back in Bangalore, in terms of, because when you're working in a gym, or if you're working, let's say if I'm working for myself, which I do, like working in my gym or the online training that I spoke about. I can teach my way of training and my philosophy, etc. And it's and it's easier for me that way to kind of influence people in a positive way, as opposed to when you're doing celebrity training, it has its ups and downs. Ups, of course, is PR is great. You get your name is known, and you get to see the results on screen, etc. So that's great. But at the same time, the downside, I would say, is that if you are used to training a certain way, you have to change that a lot, because everything revolves around
that one person,
that one actor, or that one project that you're working on. So it's very difficult to manage your schedule. I have to let go of all my work that I do here, move to another city, work, etc. But again, having said that,
always open to taking projects.
Always happy to take up projects. Just putting it out there, guys. If anybody is listening,
just like that.
So
and talking about animal flow, right? Can you just tell us what it is about? Because this was never a thing a few years ago, right? Now we see so many people talking about it, and it's great for your body and everything, right? What is animal flow all about?
So animal flow was started about 10, 11 years ago by...
Oh, just when you started. Did you start it?
I wish. So it was created by Mike Fitch. So He's based in Denver right now in Colorado, but he started, I think, in Miami. And so just to give you a gist, Animal Flow is a bodyweight movement practice where essentially, obviously the first thing that people think when they hear Animal Flow is that we are just mimicking animals.
Yeah.
I would say that's like a very small fraction of what we do.
Okay.
There's so much more to it.
Right.
So it's basically just getting on all fours, and that automatically changes how gravity acts on you, how you engage your core, how you move your different joints in different planes of motion, etc. Right. And you get a lot of benefits in terms of strength, mobility, endurance, power, all of these things, which is very difficult to mimic in traditional training. Right? In traditional training, for example, let's say you're moving an external weight from point A to point B. But here it's just your body and the flow.
Okay.
So there are a lot of components, and the fact that I got into, like I was mentioning earlier, I was into kickboxing and dancing earlier.
Right.
So movement was very something that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then when I started to lift weights, I really enjoyed that. Did a lot of bodybuilding and powerlifting, etc. I was lifting very heavy, and I put on about like 14 kgs of muscle. Mm-hmm. So, I put on about 14 kgs of weight, which was mostly muscle.
Okay.
So I'm about 70 kgs right now, and I became 84 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked great.
Like
I looked muscular and all of that, but then I saw that my movement was very compromised. You know, I wasn't feeling great. I was looking great.
Right.
So then I kind of understood, okay, there's something missing here.
Right.
And then I started to kind of do research on like what I can do to improve how my body feels, because I was feeling a lot older than I actually was.
Right.
And then I came across Animal Flow, and I saw Mike Fitch in one of his videos. I'm like, whoa, I want to move like this guy. And then I understood that, okay, once I actually did the level 1 and the level 2 course, etc., there's so much science behind it. It's not just about doing fancy moves.
Right.
Got an opportunity to do like an internship, a mentorship, in Italy under Mike Fitch and some of the master trainers.
Okay.
And then they were happy with me and Shweta, and then we got a chance to become master instructors. Of course, we had like almost a year's worth of training to achieve that. And then it's been about 2-3 years since we've been teaching.
Wow, so, that's amazing, man. And I've seen the videos on Instagram, and it's like you do it, you make it look easy. And anyone can like learn this.
Absolutely.
There's no prerequisite or something.
No prerequisite. So the way that Mike Fitch has designed it is that it can be scaled up or scaled down.
Right.
So if you're let's say a seasoned mover and you've been doing this for a while, you can still do a lot of advanced moves, and like you said, you saw some of the cool stuff that you might have seen in the videos. Probably, and if somebody's making it look easy, that means they've been doing it for a while. And but then even if it's somebody who's 80 years old, even if it's a kid, even if it's somebody who's never trained before, can still do a lot of the Animal Flow moves, obviously scale down.
Right, got it.
So the way that we teach it also in our workshops when we train trainers is we teach them how they can make even advanced moves, scale it down, and try to reach the level of the participant.
Right.
So that way you're still getting the benefits out of it, and you basically have to just build from it.
Build from it, absolutely. And this conversation has been amazing. It's so nice to see that you're not like the typical trainer, right? Who's like, do this, do that, and they're like, they're
My way or the highway.
Yeah, exactly. They're so like sturdy, and they want to put that, I don't know what it's called, dominance or something, but they are just too thing. But you're so easygoing, and I'm sure your clients also say the same thing about you, right? It's not about how you want people to do it. It's about their comfort also, right? As a fitness trainer, I think that's so important.
It's true. I also have a tendency to be too nice sometimes.
Okay.
So if sometimes we always make a joke about online training, saying my business partner Shweta, so she's like the bad cop, I'm the good cop.
Good cop, yeah.
So I'm usually like, oh, okay guys, if you couldn't do it tomorrow, maybe you can do it tomorrow. And then Shweta is like, what's wrong with you guys? Come on. And it's a balance. It helps.
It's a good thing, actually.
It's a very good thing. So of course, the thing is, that's just a joke. But then I also have to play the bad cop sometimes, and that's important. Like you said, it's very important to make people comfortable where they are. Like if you're, let's say, training somebody, because if you're so overpowering and you're like, do this many reps, and then the person's dying, and if you're still pushing, it's not physically possible for that person. Right. But at the same time, you also need to understand that there are some people
push it to their limit.
Some people who will take the easy way out. So if you're too nice, then And these things you'll understand as you kind of train more and more people. You understand body language. You know when somebody's faking it. So you have to switch to the bad cop and then be like, what the hell are you doing? Come on. I know you can get 2 more reps. So yeah, it's about finding the
good balance. Absolutely. In conversation with Devrath Vijay, one last question for you is that what is that one advice or a simple word or some 2-liners that you want to give to our listeners? You can look here and say.
So fitness, I think, is very, very personal. So if you see somebody doing, let's say, animal flow, or if you see somebody doing weight training, and if you see somebody doing, let's say, running a marathon, it's nice to be inspired by those things, but I would say find what is your interest, because that's what's going to help you stay consistent. So if you look at somebody running a marathon and you say, okay, I'm going to do this, but you don't like it or you don't enjoy it, then you might do it for like a couple of weeks and then you're going to fall off the wagon, right? So find something that you truly like. It could be anything. It could be even playing a sport. It could be just going for a cycle ride, whatever it is. As long as you're consistent with it, you're going to see some progress.
Absolutely. In conversation with Devrath, you can go follow him on Instagram. It's Ninja Dev, right? Ninja. How did that name come up, Ninja?
So, firstly, I did a teeny bit of ninjutsu, which is the martial arts that ninjas practice, and some of the philosophies that one of it, which is efficient movement, and that's something that I practice on an everyday basis. And of course, I'm also a fan of the American Ninja Warrior. I've set up a little bit of that in my gym as well. So yeah.
So that's why it's Ninja Dev. See you in a bit. Thanks. Fever.